everyone. Welcome to But Did You Die with the Jet Sisters? I'm Rachel. That's Angie. And before we even start, I have to say, Angie and I have been sitting here for an hour trying to record, and the amount of phone calls she has gotten with things she cannot put off. Y'all need to stop calling Angie. It's too much.
There's a lot going on. But hey, let's talk about fun stuff. What is on my face? Oh my God. There's literally stuff on my face. You weren't going to tell me?
I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. Hey, everyone. What's going on?
Everything's
A lot.
fine. Everything's great.
It's been a week.
Blink twice if you need help.
I'm in my new house.
Yay! And it's so cute.
Amazing.
It's super cute. I just have to tell everybody I was the first guest ever in the house. It was me. So, ha 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 ha. Everyone else.
Yeah, Angie and Rick came and helped us move. Thank God they did, because
told you so.
Rick's moving skills. That man needs to open a moving company. Don't tell anyone. Never mind. Rick's bad.
He told me, please don't tell anybody how good I am at moving. Don't tell anybody.
Listen. He's really good. I'm gonna tell the world. He
plays a lot of Tetris.
Thanks. Hey, thanks, sis. Thanks, Rick, for coming to help us move. But we are here. It's awesome. I'm obsessed with our house.
It's so cute. And it's big. And there's a yard for the dogs. And you guys are going to paint because it's a little more lavender than anticipated.
This looks gray, but this wall is pink.
That wall is pink? Oh, gosh.
This is the pink wall.
But
it's crazy. The lighting.
It's basically, it was move-in ready. Like, you didn't have to fix anything. You don't have to remodel anything. It's just like cosmetic stuff you might fix.
So just all around, I'm so happy. It was a great experience. We signed the papers. We popped the poppers. We had champagne. It was great. And then also move-in day. The Olympics started. So now we've got the Olympics to watch every day.
Have you been doing a lot of crying? Because I have been doing a lot of crying. If there's one thing about me, it's I'm going to cry like my kid is in the Olympics all day. I don't know these people.
I haven't cried, but I do find myself saying or screaming at the TV like, "You're the best in the world at this." Because that's what it is.
I scared the dogs pretty bad because I get really pumped about gymnastics, and I'm like jumping and fist pumping, and I'm like, that was so solid. And Skywalker is not having it. He does not understand mommy yelling at the TV, and I'm clapping. Like, I watched it twice. I watched it live, and then I watched it again with Rick, pretending I didn't know what was going to happen, and it was like living it all over again. Amazing. I love it here. Go America.
Yeah, I'm also sitting on the couch eating popcorn like, oh, you call that a spin, China? Yeah, right. Meanwhile, do a cartwheel.
I had to brush chip crumbs off me when I was jumping up to cheer on the gymnasts. And I'm just like, oh, the irony. Oh my, where my life has gone lately. I mean, I guess I'm never going to be an Olympic gymnast, but there's other things we could do. There's things I could start right now and probably do in 10 or 15 years, maybe.
I really, really wish they would put, especially in the swimming event, they would put a slow, like a normal person
me
doing the same thing. So I could see how fast they're going. Cause I'm like, okay, it's fine. But like they're done with the 100-meter and I would probably still be on the diving board, you know?
Well, look, we were both on the swim team. I think you were faster than me. A couple Olympics ago, I actually went and got my splits. Like, I got my times that I still, of course, saved because I save everything. And I was like, oh my God, there was no chance. I mean, no one ever thought I was going to go to the Olympics. That was never a question, but definitely not. Definitely not. And it would be fun to see somebody else in the pool. But see, that already happens with Katie Ledecky. She already finishes like 30 seconds faster than everybody else. And then she just has to hang out in the pool awkwardly while the rest of the world catches up. Go Queen. She's amazing. And do you remember when we used to swim the 500 and it took 20 minutes and they swim 1500 and it takes 20 minutes or something? Like, yoinks. I think our ship may have sailed. I don't know. I watched North Korea and China play each other for the gold medal in ping pong, and I've never seen anything like it. If you guys haven't seen that particular match, definitely watch it. It's so intense. It feels like a movie, and it's not. It's real life. So go Olympics. Go USA. I'm so pumped. I think we have weeks more to go of this, and I'm super into it. We can talk about that forever and ever. I think next episode we'll do a Olympic recap or something.
Ooh,
but in the meantime, let's get to travel news. Just about this time last year, Rick and I were about to leave for Yellowstone, and amazing trip. Obviously, we love Yellowstone. We love national parks, and geology rocks, as you know. So last week before, bunch of folks are out on one of the boardwalks that they build around the geysers and the thermal things, because you cannot walk around there. You will fall into a boiling hole of acid and disintegrate. So people are walking around, and all of a sudden there's this huge explosion. And this was in Biscuit Basin. There's this huge explosion, black stuff coming out of the ground. Now, here's what I would do. If I was standing on the boardwalk, I would run for my freaking life, and I would be screaming, because Yellowstone is a super volcano. Like, underneath it is a super volcano with the power to basically destroy the earth. So everybody's like, oh, when's it going to erupt? Yeah. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you that. Scary stuff. So if that happened when I was there, when I tell you, I would have to change my pants afterwards. Like, I would get to the parking. I would probably need to leave the area, quit the trip, and go straight into inpatient care, because it would have scared me so much. But a lot of people just still stood there with their phones and videoed it. Nobody was injured. Shockingly. Shockingly. And so it wasn't volcanic. A lot of people thought it was volcanic, but really it was, there's all these chambers underground, and some water got into a place it doesn't usually go, which caused some extra boiling, and it did a nice big launch. So it was just whatever. And I was just reading something that said there might be a new geyser now that is forming because of this. And that's what people don't know about Yellowstone. It's not always going to be the same, because everything that's going on underground is changing, and there's magma, and there's so much stuff going on. It's such a fascinating place, but also be careful.
And oh yeah, be careful, because at any time something could happen. Yikes.
Crazy, right?
Amazing that nobody was injured.
Yeah, I would have been so scared. Anyway, go check out our national parks.
We love it here. Good stuff.
And speaking of national parks, this has nothing to do with that. Let's talk about the travel destination of the week. It's the Bahamas.
It is the Bahamas. But here's the thing about the Bahamas. There's a lot of the Bahamas. So we could not talk about the entire Bahamas. And no. How many islands are there?
Listen, there are over 700 islands in the Bahamas. And I think a lot of people don't know that, because when your only experience with the Bahamas is on a cruise, and you go to, let's say, Nassau, maybe Freeport, and then the private island of Disney, the private island of Royal, whoever, you think that's the Bahamas, and it's so not. There's so much more to it. There's so many far-flung islands that are so remote, and that are as far south as Cuba, like way, way, way down there. You wouldn't even think. And then they start as far north as West Palm Beach. So we're talking about a huge, huge area. And I just think people don't really realize it. That's why when you hear about a hurricane hit the Bahamas, where though? It doesn't mean you can't go to the Bahamas. It just, right. It just means maybe not that particular island for an amount of time. So yeah, 700 islands.
So 700 islands. And you've been to what, 600 islands?
I've been to a lot of the islands in the Bahamas. I used to do public relations for the Ministry of Tourism in the Bahamas. I did that for about 5 years. So I know a lot about the Bahamas. I think if people know anything about me, it's that if I have to know something, I'm going to know all of something. And so I learned a lot about every island, everybody who lives there and has ever lived there. And conch, is my favorite food. Favorite food of the world, favorite food of the Bahamas. So yeah.
And even I eat conch fritters, so that tells you how great the Bahamas are. Right. Hey, what do they speak? What language do they speak in them there, Bahamas?
They speak English. So, and that's pretty much it. There are some like immigrant populations that speak other languages, but very small. Pretty much everybody speaks English. It was a colony of England. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I guess depending on where you're coming from and which island you go to will dictate how much you're spending. Like for us, we're in Florida, so flying to the Bahamas is pretty easy. It's right there. We can even take a boat. That is
Yeah.
how close it is to us.
Yeah.
Now, if you're trying to go to an island that doesn't have an airport, then you got to fly here, then you got a boat there.
There are spots that are easily accessible to the general public with commercial air service, and then there's further flung islands that you might have to go to the main airport in Nassau and then take a regional airline or a puddle jumper or a charter to get to some of the smaller ones. Ferry service, not great. You can get from Florida to, I think, Bimini on a ferry. Okay, easy enough. And then there's a couple of inner island ones, like Nassau to Harbor Island. Yeah, it's just not there. And Eleuthera, they have one. So there's a couple, but that is not something you would rely on to just go island hopping. The Bahamas is not an island hopping destination unless you have pretty much a private jet or a yacht. And if you do, why are we not there on your yacht?
Right.
Right.
Let's go.
If our friends with private jets and yachts are listening, listen, please call us.
We're pretty fun. Some movies that have been filmed in the Bahamas, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's one everyone's seen. And there's a scene in my head where they're walking on a very thin slice of sand in the middle of the ocean. And you've been there. You've been on that slice of sand.
I've been to all the Pirates filming locations. I've many, many times been past Johnny Depp's private island where he actually has a home. It's definitely a good spot for filming movies. It's a great spot for celebrities, but only in like those far-flung areas. And you're probably not going to see them because they're so low-key. You wouldn't even like know they were there. And they're also on their own private islands, So you're going to be on not a private island probably, but 700 islands, right? Not all inhabited. Okay. A lot of them are little keys, little rocks, whatever. So then you've got about 16 main inhabited islands where the main people live. Of that, I don't know, 7 or 8 that are popular touristy destinations. And then the rest of the ones, they might have like 3 fishing lodges and are really quite hard to get to. So, the ones that are the main tourist attractions would be Nassau Paradise Island. That's what you always see with Atlantis and kind of that's the main hub, the capital. Then you have Grand Bahama, which is Freeport. That's another cruise port. We went there on our Margaritaville cruise. That one's okay. It was decimated by a hurricane a couple years ago, so it's coming back, but still a beautiful island. And we have Abaco, which you've been to. That's where we've been to twice. That's where Rick and I got married. Ha ha ha. Still love Abaco so much, despite that whole drama. So that's a good one. And then you have Eleuthera and Harbor Island. Wild, beautiful, couple of amazing boutique hotels. Harbor Island has a famous pink sand beach and famous people. It's very shishi and like designery and cute. And then there's other ones. Shishi.
What is shishi?
It's like barefoot luxury. Everything's woven, everything's wicker, but everything's expensive. Like gourmet food and everybody's. Think of like Palm Beach, but over there. You know what I mean? Kind of that like ladies who lunch and everybody's like smartly dressed. Then Eleuthera is more like rugged, barefoot, and these are a quick boat ride away from each other, like very quick, but very different vibes. So whatever you're going for, the Bahamas has it. But the group I want to talk about today, the island chain, is Exuma. So within the 700 islands, Exuma has 365 of them, and it's this beautiful chain, stunning chain. If you ever get the chance to fly over it, it is stunning from the sky, and you can see it from space. The astronauts always comment on it because it's just so beautiful. just keys and sandbars and shallow water and every shade of blue and green water that you could ever imagine. And within that, so the main island is Great Exuma. Capital there is Georgetown. You can fly directly into there. I just found out. So there's a Sandals there. Used to be a Four Seasons. Now it's a Sandals. Rick and I went on our honeymoon there. They're turning it into a beaches. Family friendly. Yuck.
Oh, no.
I mean, yay if you have kids, but I guess we won't be reliving our 10-year anniversary there. So they're about to close it down and do renovations, but it's on the most beautiful beach in the world, Emerald Bay, and Exuma is amazing. Now, cruise up on a boat, or even better, take a plane to little tiny Staniel Cay. Tiny, like a mile, 2 miles across. Everywhere, walk any direction and you're going to end up at the water very quickly. Tiny little airport. And it is such a cool island. So that's the island. I mean, I guess that's been a really long intro to be like, hey, here's what I want to talk about today. Anyway, it's cool. Go there.
Bye, everyone. No.
That's all the time we have for today.
It's Staniel Cay?
Staniel. Like Staniel. Staniel. Yeah.
Staniel Cay.
So
I haven't been there, but you've been there a few times?
Lots of times.
Mark?
Yeah.
And this is the place that everyone has seen where you can go swimming with the pigs.
Yes, this is where the original swimming pigs are. So you take a little boat, it's a 4-minute little boat ride to Pig Beach. And you just kind of go around this cove and you show up and there's 30 pigs swimming in the water. They swim up to the boat. The water's crystal clear. You feed them. You don't feed them garbage things like Pop-Tarts. You feed them like lettuce and healthier pig things. And then you can pet them. And if they'll let you, you can pick them up, use your discretion. You don't want to pick up a nursing baby pig. But anyway, so sometimes there's a lot of people there on day tours, but a lot of times you have the whole beach to yourself. So it's a really interesting experience. And I think the best way, I'll say the one thing you have to do in Exuma is this like all day animal safari. And this is really the only place in the Bahamas that you can do this. So you can see the swimming pigs. And this is the original ones. You can pretty much go anywhere in the Bahamas now. And some folks have thrown some pigs into the sea and they are swimming because it's very profitable business. Inexplicably, who would have thought, like, what's next? Goats? Like, what are we going to throw in the water next? So this is the original swimming pigs on the most stunning deserted island. There's also Thunderball Grotto, which is where James Bond Thunderball was actually filmed inside this incredible grotto. And it's just insane snorkeling, blue light trickling down from a hole in the ceiling. And it's magical. Then you can go to this private beach where they have these endangered pink rock iguanas. And you just can go chill with them on the beach. They're not as friendly as the pigs, but they'll eat food from you. And I don't remember if you're allowed to feed them anymore. I think they might have put the kibosh on that because people were feeding them garbage, of course, and they're endangered. So all these pretty pink-faced iguanas. And then my favorite part, you go to Compass Key, which, quick boat ride up the way. This is amazing marina. And there's just nurse sharks everywhere. And so you get in and literally they will swim into your arms for pets. Nurse sharks. You're holding them and petting them. You can, and I checked this with a shark expert. They'll flip them over and you can rub their bellies and they like it. Like they're fully into it and they just swim around you and they don't bother you. And it's wonderful.
I have to stop you because people may not know this about you. So the average person sees a shark and jumps out of the water, swims away, screams. Angie's wedding, which was in the Bahamas, we were doing a big family excursion, and there was a shark in the water. Everyone got out, but Angie and Rick jumped into the water to go near the shark. So that's Angie. So if you're into sharks, that's great. You and Angie will be friends. But this
is a nurse shark. Like these are nurse sharks. These are the puppies of the sea.
Yes, but most people don't know what kind of sharks. So don't go pet a shark unless you know.
Well, and to be honest, like naughty sharks that could bite your arm off aren't just like swimming around the marina, swimming up to people. That's not really happening.
People who have their arms bitten off.
They were usually surfing, But at any rate, fun fact, I in 100 visits to the Bahamas, I've never seen a tiger shark ever, ever, ever until my last trip. And Blonde Alex and I, this Alex in Wonderland for everybody not in our family, but we call her Blonde Alex. Blonde Alex and I were snorkeling and taking pictures at this, it's called the Mermaid Piano. There's a piano sunk into the sea, and there's a mermaid playing piano at it, you know, like a stone sculpture. And this at David Copperfield's private island. So you can get out and check it out. Yeah, you know, the magician.
Yeah, in the 90s, he still got his own island.
I mean, the 90s were a very lucrative time for magicians. So anyway, we're in there snorkeling. We get out, head to the next thing, and couple 100 yards away, we spot, I'm like, what is that? There's something swimming in the water. And I thought it was a ray. You see a lot of big rays just swimming through the water. It was a tiger shark. Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a tiger shark. And I was so excited. Like I lost my wits. I was going to plunge my hand in and video the guy. But I'm hanging over the edge. I'm like, I was so excited that I didn't record. I thought I was recording the whole time, and I was just like shaking with happiness because I've never seen a tiger shark in the wild, and it was awesome. It was a big guy. He was almost as big as the boat, and not one that you want to be swimming with just like willy-nilly. This is not a hugger. This is, avoid if you're not good at sharks like I am. So yeah, that was amazing. But also super duper rare. And I can't stress that enough. I have spent as much time underwater in the Bahamas as I have above. And I've never seen a tiger shark. I have scubaed all over, so it's pretty rare. You got to be careful as you would any time in the ocean, but it's not like they're just everywhere chomping around looking for people. So, anyways, so this is like the animal safari of the Bahamas, and the best way to do it, well, there's a couple ways you can do it. If you're staying in Staniel Cay, you can book this day tour with 3 ends, and it can be private, it can be group, whatever. Amazing day trip. And they take you based on the tides to each different spot. There's also this sandbar that appears, with the tide, and it's got a swing set on it, like a beautiful driftwood, beautiful swing set. And so you can just go like on the swings on this beautiful sandbar in the middle of the sea, and it is so stunning. It's just like the most photogenic day you can imagine. There's starfish as big as your head everywhere, so you can get in the water and snorkel and look at those. Don't take them out. Yeah, and so you can do that with 3 ends from Staniel Cay. If you're not staying in Staniel Cay, and most people don't because it is, kind of a harder spot to get to. If you're staying in Nassau, you can do this whole tour from Nassau. So if you're staying there at Atlantis, you can book the day tour. They will come get you on the plane, take you to Staniel Cay, put you on the boat, feed you, show you all the things, and get you back to Nassau in a day.
Yeah, an easy weekend trip. You fly to Nassau, do the day thing, come back. I mean, if you're from Florida like us, like easy, we could do that this weekend. And
yeah,
I mean, I don't have any money.
Yeah, it actually is. It's shocking how easy it is and quick to get to the Bahamas from especially the South Florida airports and probably Orlando, because you've got direct flights to Nassau. Little harder to get to some of the further flung ones, but not impossible. Staniel Cay is a tricky one because it's a small airport.
Yeah. You fly anywhere to Miami, and then you're there. Like
pretty much. When I say small airport, I'm not talking like, oh, Jacksonville is a small airport. I'm talking like they don't have a lounge. It's just a couple of desks, and there's no inside. You know what I mean? And there's like a vending machine, and you just walk to your plane. It's barely an airport, basically, barely. Huh?
It's an airport because it has a runway.
Essentially, it's definitely a parking lot that you can fly into. And from the hotel that I stayed at, so the gals who run 3 ends, who do the big tour, they also run Embrace Resort. So it's this group of villas that they've built from scratch themselves, women-run business, Bahamian owned, and it's right at the airport. So when you are ready to fly, like you don't even have to go to the airport. You go check in, you go sit in your room, and then when your flight lands, you just walk to your plane. It's right there, and you're just good. It's ridiculous. Like this is my kind of Bahamas, where it's so chill, no stress. The only stress is like knowing what you're going to eat, because sometimes the restaurants just aren't open when you thought they were going to be. And there's like only 3 of them. So, oh, by the way, everybody's closed today and nobody told you. And you're like, well, dang, I got to go make some friends and get some dinner. But also that's possible. So one of my favorite islands in the Bahamas, the Exumas. I mean, people ask me all the time, like, what's your favorite? And it's hard to pick. It's like picking a favorite child. But the Exumas, that's the first island I ever went to outside of, that's the first island I ever traveled to for work. And it just like did my head in, going from island to island and seeing all the animals, and just, it's the best. I see why Johnny Depp and Mariah Carey and Tyler Perry and Faith Hill and Tim McGraw and Beyonce and all these folks, Oprah, I see why all these folks hang out in the Exumas, because it's a bucket list place.
I know you could talk about the Bahamas until the end of time, but we are out of time.
Oh gosh, we really are.
So if you like this Bahamas series, I think we could talk more. There's more islands we can talk about. We can talk about where you got married. I mean, that's a whole podcast for
There's
sure.
a good disaster story in that.
There is, but do you have a disaster? Because it wouldn't be the But Did You Die podcast without our disaster.
I do. And, as many times as I've been to the Bahamas, I don't have a lot of disasters, but a couple of them are pretty significant. This one is specific to Staniel Cay. So I took a bunch of journalists there. It's probably my last trip before I left and traveled around the world, but took a bunch of journalists there. We had one of the regional flights, and they left all our bags in Nassau, all of them. So we had nothing. And because of weather, they couldn't get them to us. This isn't like, your bag doesn't arrive, so they'll just FedEx it to you the next day. That is not a thing, because you're just way out there. And so for 3 days, none of us had clothes or toothbrushes or anything. And it was so fun. It was luxurious camping, and we had a blast. It's, it really matters who you're traveling with. And
that's exactly,
and that people have it in their mind, what they're getting into. And so I tell people that all the time. You got to know what you're getting into when you pick an island in the Bahamas, because they all offer such vastly different things. Like I said, some of them super shishi and fancy and all the comforts of your favorite 5-star resort. And some of them you will take your shoes off when you get. Blonde Alex blew out her flip-flop upon landing and then just never wore shoes for the rest of the time we were in Staniel Cay. And that's okay. So very chill, but you're not on a schedule. You cannot expect your food to be very rapidly prepared necessarily. You're on island time. So if you're not a person who can be on island time, that's not a place for you.
That also felt like a travel tip.
I'm so good at my job, I didn't even mean to do it. Yeah, that's the tip. Know what you're getting into. Do your research and probably ask a Bahamas expert if you're trying to go somewhere. I can super help you with that. So, is that the end?
Excellent. That is the end. Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
I have no idea. Probably solving the world's problems, let's be honest.
That's a bit extreme.
Am I lying?
Yes.
Help me. I'm blinking. Help me. Yeah, no, everything's fine. I have no idea what I'm doing this weekend. The next weekend, though, because I don't think we're recording by then, I'm going to the Hamptons for Rick's high school reunion.
That'll be fun.
Fun. I don't know if that's the word I would use, but it'll be good to see the fam.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm just unpacking my house. Maybe painting. Nick and Jess are coming down. Our disaster correspondent. Yeah, literally.
And our pilot correspondent. Do we need to get Nick on the show while we've got him?
I've said so. I've said we should. I have not thought about a sign off, so I have to think about that.
I got this.
You got one? Okay.
Well, it's not really unhinged. It's just a sign off. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. And may you have a gold medal week.
Appropriate. I approve.
Fine, right?
Big time.
Timely.
It's great.
It's
excellent. Fine. Yeah. Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. That was fun. Let's do it again sometime. Until next time. Bye. We love you.